Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming to my presentation today. I am very excited to present to you the Chesapeake 40, my final project, and to share some of the details and the thought that went behind the boat. The Chesapeake 40 is a 40-foot center console powered catamaran, and without further ado, let's get into it. The boat is for Luke and Sydney Sweeney. Luke is a millionaire after he hit it big on some UFC parlays. The boat's going to be kept in Key West, Florida in the water year-round. And the largest travel constraint for this boat is it needed to be able to travel 400 nautical miles uninterrupted in one trip. Some of the goals for this design is I wanted a very clean and organized 3D model. I wanted my profile view to be very simple. I wanted to get very detailed on my structure calculations and my layouts. I wanted to really nail down how my layouts looked. And the most important part, I didn't want the composite crew to hate me afterwards. Here's my lines plan from revision A. As you can see, we have a length overall of 12 meters, which is just shy of 40 feet. We have a beam of 5 meters, a draft of 0.4 meters, and it displaces just over 6,000 kilograms. As you can see, the holes were very narrow, and in our next revision, the beam actually decreased from 5 meters to 4 meters, but the beam of each individual hole increased by about 15%. This allowed for more room for engine installation. And the other large change is you can see the shear line on my profile view was brought down in the back, which allowed for easier deck for the engine. Our speed constraints we were looking for a target max speed of 70 knots with a cruise of 50 knots. We ultimately ended up with a max speed of 65 knots, and it can go 455 nautical miles, which is just over our limit, and an expected operating time of 9 hours. As far as engine powering goes, we had a few options. I ultimately decided to go with quad outboard installation over twin installation. And the largest decision now is between Mercury and Yamaha. I initially chose the Yamaha and then I went back to the Mercury, but I ended up choosing the Mercury 500R racing engines. This engine provided my target speeds while also maintaining my distance and fuel consumption. Another big factor is on the Mercury engine, only the lower half of the unit turns, which allows for easier docking. You don't have to worry about hitting your engine against the dock. Initial design changes we had, you can see revision A on the top, revision B on the bottom. The largest thing we did was adding cabin space into the forward part of the holes. Although this did start some issues. You can see it was very complicated geometry. We had a complicated door system going on. This is something that needed to be changed down the line. As far as my structure layout goes, I had a lot of things to do for a catamaran. There are a lot of things you need to calculate. The main ones I had to focus since I had a cord laminate. I had to do specific calculations for my cord laminate. And the most important part of the catamaran is your cross beam structure, what's actually holding the boat together. As far as my sandwich core laminate went, this boat is carbon fiber infused. And to find your sandwich core laminate, you basically have to find your section moduluses and then plug those in to find your thickness per. I ended up going with Quadrax carbon fiber, and I have 4 mil on each skin with 40 mil of grit M80 core. And here's the laminate schedule again. You can see we have 4 layers of the Quadrax separated by 1.5 inches or 40 millimeters of the M80 core cell with another 4 layers of carbon Quadrax on the inside. You can see some of the properties. This is a very strong laminate. As far as crossbeam calculations go, I simplified it very much for this presentation. You basically have to figure out all of the pressures, all of your bending moments, your twisting moments, your torsion moments, and you need to plug all of those in to find your strain energy to figure out how thick you need to build this beam. And once you have all those numbers, you're just building a very simple beam. You have to go through, find your stress, your moments, your inertias, your thicknesses. And we ultimately decided with a beam of 10 millimeter thick of unidirectional carbon separated by 400 centimeters, yes, 400, of reinforced M80 core cell with another 10 millimeter on the bottom. Here's the construction layout. As you can see, my hull is 444. The deck is half of that, 222. My stringers are 3 millimeters with 50 millimeters in between. The frames are just a little bit larger than that. They're a little taller, a little thicker. And once again, the crossbeam laminates. are right there. Here's some revisions on my model. You can see from revision B to revision C, the main thing we did was that radius part for the cabin went from a long and gradual radius to a much shorter and sharper radius, which allowed for easier building. The other main thing we did was we raised our sole height so we could allow for more mechanical fitting underneath. Here's some of the final drawings we had for the boat. You can see my general arrangement on the left. We have plenty of deck room. We have a grill on the back for all of our grill masters. We have the cabin space up front for your storage and your head. And we have the outboard profile on the right side. Very clean, very simple design. Here's our mechanical drawings. As you can see, our fuel tanks are just behind station 5 and in between station 7. It carries 800 gallons of fuel, and we have our freshwater and blackwater tank in front. You can see how we had to raise the sole height to be able to fit all of these tanks in. Here's some of the final renders of the boat. On the left, you can see our final outboard profile. Very clean, very simple, minimalistic look. This is what I was going for with the design. And on the right side, you can see it with the Mercury engines trimmed up. You can see the twin props on the bottom. Very simple design, what I was aiming for. Very happy with how it came out. Here's some of the interior renders. On the left side, you can see the cabin space with the head. There's not too much standing headroom, but it's a center console. The head will not be used too much. And on the right side, you can see our console. Once again, very clean, very simple. You can see the most important part of the boat. We have 5 cup holders up front. And as far as my boat goes, that's all I have for my presentation today. It was a very difficult task, but I am very happy with how it came out. If there are any questions that I can answer, I'd like to open it now. And thank you for coming to my presentation today.